This may look like just any other abandoned pier, but it's actually a pier that was built by Thomas Edison for his estate in Fort Myers, Florida. We're on the banks of the We're on the banks of the We're on the banks of the Caloosahatchee River. We're on the banks of the Caloosahatchee River, and we're visiting the estates of Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. Come along. Now that that train wreck of an introduction is done, let's actually take a minute to start looking around the grounds. Now, the Edison Ford Winter Estates occupy more than 20 acres of land here in Fort Myers, Florida. We're going to see some gardens, of course, the two estate homes themselves, a few other buildings. Let's get started and check things out. This swimming pool dates from 1910, but the building that we're looking at here goes back to when Edison purchased the property from cattle baron Samuel Summerlin in 1885. This building was actually on site when Edison purchased the property. Edison used it as a caretaker's house and had it expanded to encompass a kitchen, garage, and chauffeur's quarters. So while this was Edison's winter getaway, he never stopped working. And originally on this spot, he had a lab built in 1886. That lab was moved to Henry Ford's Greenfield Village Historical Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, and this study was built on the spot in 1928. The Edisons actually have two houses on their property. The main house, which dates from 1886, and then the guest house. Now, the guest house was originally owned by another family who was a business associate of Edison's, but they had a falling out, and it was in 1906 that Edison purchased that house and converted it into a guest house. Most of the furnishings inside the Edison homes are actually original to their family. In 1947, Mina Edison, Thomas Edison's widow, deeded the property to the city of Fort Myers in memory of her husband Thomas, and to have it opened up for public display and public viewings. And so most of the furnishings were just simply left in the home at that time. So what you're seeing here is really original. Now, as you would expect, originally the main house had a kitchen and dining room in it. But in 1906, when Edison's purchased the house that would become their guest house, it already had a kitchen in it. So they renovated the kitchen and dining room in the main house to become bedroom suites for the family. Now, you're not actually allowed inside the homes. You can only look in from the outside, so you're not going to get to see any of the upstairs or anything like that, but it still is a really fascinating tour. One of the joys of doing an audio tour, of course, is you get to walk around with one of these devices stuck to the side of your head, listening to things about the estates and the different locations and sites. Of course, I get to be an even bigger dork and walk around with this thing stuck to my ear while also talking to myself on a telephone. So I get it on both sides. Now, Edison would enjoy the property right up until his death in 1931. But it was in 1916 that Henry Ford purchased the craftsman style bungalow from Robert Smith of New York. So Edison and Ford were always good friends and colleagues. And so Ford had visited Edison down here in Fort Myers on multiple occasions. And it was finally in 1916 he decided to buy the property next to the Edisons so that they could both have winter homes together. Now, I don't normally use my camera in bathrooms, but this bathroom is so cool. I wish I had one like this in my house. I love this color and style. So that's going to wrap it up from the Ford Edison Estates here on the banks of the Caloosahatchee River in Fort Myers, Florida. That also is going to put an end to our little series of Florida adventures here. We are due to fly out tomorrow to get back to the cold and the snow of Alberta and back to our more normal adventures. I'm glad you were able to come along and enjoy this brief little series of 3 videos checking out some historic sites out here in Florida. And best to everyone here in 2019, because I'm assuming it'll be 2019 before I get this posted. Talk to you then. Bye.